Wayfair presents wall art and decor. Create your gallery with art deals so good they feel like a heist.
Larry? Okay. What sort of things would you all do with him? Which would be CSU item 2. One. Or item 52, which would be CSU item 2, one tire cast imprint. What and I guess it's the same thing for, so we'll go to item 53, which is CSU item 3, the other tire imprint. What were you able to determine?
Well,
Oh my God, you didn't hear any of that. Try again. See, there's a little button on my microphone that like mutes it, because then I can, hear it in my ears. And if I have the button on, so that it's off, then I can't hear myself. I know I'm muted, but it makes this like weird sound and it bugs me. So then I do the little mute on the bottom. Let's start again. Whoosh. Welcome back to day 3 of the Brice Rhodes trial and day 4 of Crime Spies. Road to 500 subscribers. I had some really funny things to say, but I'm not going to waste any more of your time. All right, so it looks like Law and Crime also did a second live stream for this afternoon after lunch testimony. And so I just have it rewound all the way back. And I'm going to just play it at 1.25 times speed. I kind of guessed on the time.
Item 52,
so
which would be CSU item 2, one tire cast
use
imprint.
the mute clicker button.
And I guess it's the same thing for, so we'll go to item 53, which is CSU item 3, the other tire imprint. What were you able to determine?
well, as it related to both of those imprints, my items 52 and 53, I determined that the pictures
So the medical examiner's already done? Okay.
on the CD of tires, I couldn't make a determination one way or another. I couldn't eliminate those tires as having made those imprints, but I couldn't identify them either. Class characteristics are something we look at first. We'll see if the same basic pattern is there. So the same basic pattern was there, but in tires, it's very difficult to identify a tire specifically to a tire imprint, because tires will wear and they don't develop very good unique characteristics.
Thank you for joining me again this way up. Hello
in looking at
again.
those imprints, and a round tire is very, if you were to roll out that imprint, it would be about 6 feet long if you rolled it all the way out flat. So just capturing one small imprint that was made, you don't know where on that tire it may have been made. So it could have been at the top or bottom or whatever. So my conclusions were that it was basically inconclusive. I couldn't say whether the pictures of the tires that were submitted, that those tires made those imprints, but I couldn't eliminate them as well.
And was, because we've heard about a number of cars,
does
it list what specific type of car this is on your report?
It says they were off of a Mazda 3.
Moving on to the shoe imprints. For 54, your number 54, which would be CSU 6, were you able to determine anything about that item?
Again, item 54, it says on my report here that there was an inconclusive comparison, again, to shoes contained in item 62. So I couldn't identify or eliminate item 62 shoes as having made that imprint. The same basic pattern existed, but there was a lack of individual characteristics present in the imprint for me to make an identification. Shoes were eliminated, it appears.
And item 62, is that CSU 133?
It is.
Okay. What about your item 55, which is CSU 9, the other shoe imprint cast?
It appears that that particular imprint that, let me make sure I get this right here. Okay, so I couldn't identify the two imprints as being made by the same shoe. And then I couldn't, on item 55, it was not made by any of the pairs of shoes that were submitted. So it was a different pattern present in that imprint that did not match any of the shoes submitted.
Okay. So to summarize, the tires could not be identified or eliminated. One shoe, same, not identified or eliminated. The other shoe print, eliminated.
Eliminated,
Okay.
yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Moving right along.
Mr. Doyle, good afternoon. I
Redirect.
just want to be clear that you could not positively identify the tire tracks at the scene as being from the Blue Mazda 3, correct?
That's correct.
And you could not positively identify or match any of the shoes that were given to you to the shoe prints at the scene. Is that correct?
There was one pair of shoes that I couldn't eliminate. The others I eliminated.
Anything else? All right, thanks for being here. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Okay. Lickety split.
Nice.
Taylor.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is Taylor. He's one of the co-conspirators that supposedly received a sweetheart deal in exchange for their testimony against Mr. Brice Rhodes, the defendant, this fine gentleman here. I say that
Mr.
facetiously.
Taylor, you can come right up here to the witness stand.
Oh, he is missing his smart pocket square today.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth? Thank you. You can have a seat.
And again, we are about
Could you
20
introduce
minutes
yourself,
behind the
Larry?
live stream.
And sir, we're if you lean closer to the microphone and speak louder, we need to be able to hear you.
Ja'Cory Taylor.
Ja'Cory
Mr. Taylor,
Taylor.
how are you connected to this case?
He participated or witness/participated in the deaths of the two brothers.
Sir, you need to answer the question.
Sir, did you know Larry and Maurice?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know them?
This is my friend.
Were your friends? Did you know or do you know Anwan Carter?
And Juan Carter
I know
was
that
the
you're nodding,
last
but we have
witness
to be able to hear
yesterday.
you. So if you could say yes or no as appropriate. Did you know Anwan?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know him?
He's my cousin.
He's your cousin?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that on your mom's side or dad's side?
Mom's side.
Did you know Brice Rhodes?
You
Your
must
Honor,
answer
permission
the
to treat
question.
this guy as hostile because he's not
Someone approach. Come on up here, sir.
he's not fulfilling his end of the bargain. Okay, we are in 1.25 times speed. I'm monkeying around with the windows. I'm still trying to get used to this OBS thing.
We're
which
going to
I-
take a short break.
Oh, well, I guess it's good that we started at 12:30 Central Standard Time.
Understand that, but we still... Mr. Taylor, you can have a seat in the witness chair again.
I wonder if they cut that.
I'm not trying to overstep. I wasn't sure if you had counsel on if we needed anything like that. I know.
I mean, I'm just going to talk to him about how he's answer. I understand that, but we still have to have some kind of an answer. It can be yes, no, I don't know, I don't remember, but you can't sit there and not answer the question. Do you understand? Mr. Taylor, I'm speaking to you.
For all of
Please look
those
at
of
me.
you who are
Do you
lawyers, isn't
understand?
that permission to treat the witness as
Okay.
hostile?
Can you all approach, please?
Here we go again. I tell you, this guy gives me the creeps up and down my spine. We've got a good crowd over on Rumble again today. Thank you very much. Our road to 500. We don't have as far to go on the Rumble side as we do on the YouTube side. Jacory Corey Taylor. Let's put back up our... Here's our victims. So this guy here was, according to the testimony yesterday from one of the other co-conspirators, this guy here was present and voted on whether or not the picture of the two brother victims on the middle left of your screen should live or die. And then, according to the witness yesterday, who said after, I think it was the second brother was dead, Brice made them each take turns stabbing the victim so they'd all have participated. In exchange for their testimony against Mr. Brice Rhodes, no, Freakosaurus Rex, defendant, asshole, he agreed to testify against him. And he's apparently not cooperating. We are a little bit behind watching at 1.25 times speed. I guess I just find this interesting watching him. I'm going to log in under my other account to get watch hours. Thank you to those of you. I know Broken Baker mentioned that earlier. Thank you. I appreciate it. This way up. Thank you so much for coming back. Let me go over my 2 new followers. Thank you to Rals52 and Nikki L, who just started following on Crime Spies. Nikki L yesterday, and oops. Rals52. 12 hours ago. Thank you very much over on the Rumble side. I appreciate it. We're moving on up like the Jeffersons over here in Crime Spies.
Since the jury's not in here, I can talk to you about this.
So the jury is left.
Represented you no longer is with the public defender's office, but they're going to send an attorney over for you just in case you need somebody to talk to while you're here. Okay.
Okay, so apparently they're calling for an attorney to come and sit with him while he testifies.
All right. Whenever the jurors are back, we can get started again.
Again, this is day 3 of the Brice Rhodes trial for the triple murder of the 2 boys pictured on the left-hand side of your screen who were 14 and 16 years old at the time of their deaths. May 21st, 2016, they were witnesses to a shooting 3 weeks prior of the 3rd victim, Christopher Jones, age 40. They had gone to do a hit for money and ended up shooting the wrong guy. And then these 2 boys were witnesses, and a few weeks
I
later,
guess what I have to do is switch it over manually when
their
you
lives
switch
were
it.
ended
But I've been
by
switching it to overall presentation so the screen
Mr.
can show.
Asshole Freakosaurus Rex.
Okay.
I don't know why that's not working. There, that went. Broken Baker, hello. Let's see if I can respond to you. Welcome back, and thank you so much.
All 15 jurors are present, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Mills.
Okay, so we started at 12:30 because I kind of guessed on when they would start.
Mr. Brown, you can proceed.
So we're behind a little bit, which is
Mr.
good.
Taylor, how old are you?
Okay, I'll be quiet.
25,
Thank you. How old were you in 2016?
17.
So when you were 17 years old, you were friends with Larry, Ordway, and Maurice Gordon, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were cousins with Anwan Carter. You are cousins with him. Were you running around with your cousin Anwan? Did you all four hang out?
Yeah. Did.
How did you know Larry and Maurice? How did you meet them?
I met through one of my cousins, Antoine.
You met them through your cousin Antoine? And how is Antoine related to Anwan?
They brothers.
They're brothers. Okay. Did you all hang out with more people?
No, it was just usually us,
Okay. What sort of stuff would you do?
females, chill, party, stuff like that.
Where did you go to school?
Went to Lasseter, and I went to Butler High School.
Where'd you say?
I went to Lasseter Middle, and I went to Butler High School.
Butler High School? Did you go to school with any of them?
Now my cousin Antoine did. That's how I met him.
I'm actually going to slow this
They
down
came
to
on my
normal
cousin house
speed.
one day.
There's no closed
What
caption
neighborhood
available
did you live
either.
in back then?
I lived in the South with my cousin.
What do you mean by the South?
South there, like by Olmsted Middle School, our boys' school. You know, in the
Is that
South
where
there.
they all went to school?
Yeah, they all went to school there.
So you would hang out with them after school?
Yeah.
Were you and Anwan friends when you were little kids?
No, not really. I mean, he just my cousin's like blood brother, so I looked at him as like a brother too.
So you were closer to Antoine at first than Anwan, is that what you're saying?
Me and Antoine grew up together. His mama is my mama's sister. She passed away. Stacy, she passed away. So me and Antoine, we've been tight since I was young.
And was Anwan his little brother? At some point, did anybody in that group introduce you to Brice Rhodes?
Maurice and Larry.
Maurice and Larry did?
Mhm.
About how long did you know Maurice and Larry before they died?
About 4 years.
4 years?
Mm-hmm.
About how long did you know Brice Rhodes?
I don't remember.
Had you known him, would you say weeks, months, or years before the murders?
I don't remember.
Okay. Years?
Probably about. It wasn't that long though. It wasn't no year.
Wasn't no year?
No.
And you met him through, I believe you said Maurice and Larry?
Hmm.
Okay. What sort of things would you all do with him?
No. Just chill. Really.
Would he take you all out
Time to time.
from time to time? Did he take you all out to eat?
Time to time.
Did he buy you all stuff?
Thank you. I normally do, but
Time to time.
Sure.
there. I was monkeying around and my window kept switching. I didn't want to give you a seizure. I'm still getting used to this OBS, but I do really love it. I tried to use StreamYard in the beginning, but I kept getting like weird connection issues. So then I forced myself to learn how to use OBS, which, let me tell you, I watched out of every 100 videos I watched, maybe one was good or half of one. But I still have some tinkering to do. But
How often would you all hang out with him?
okay, I'll be quiet.
I hung with M1 more than anybody, and Maurice and Larry more than anybody. So I can't say how many times we hung together, or how often, but it was often, but it wasn't more than I hung with them two and M1.
Could you, I'm so sorry that I could not hear all of that. If you could lean closer in.
We hung with them sometimes, but I mean, it was mostly me, Maurice and Larry, and M1. It wasn't, you know.
So it was mostly you four, sometimes him.
Yeah.
How old was he, if you recall?
Who?
Mr. Rhodes.
I don't know.
Hello again,
Was he older
Jamie.
than you
Older
all?
than us.
What color is your headband?
Did you all ever, well, anytime you hung out with him, were they there, your friends there too? Or did you ever hang out with him, just you and him?
It was mostly just me, him, and Maurice and Larry and Butter. M1.
Okay. And I believe you just said Butta. What is
It's M1.
that's Anwan's nickname?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me ask the attorneys to come up. Mr. Faccio, would you mind to come up too?
So apparently they went and called in an attorney to assist the witness in his testimony if he needs it, as his binky maybe. So there's a little back and forth here. This guy gives me the heebs. So this must be the guy, the white-haired gentleman here must be the guy was brought in to help him. So Ja'Cory here was a co-conspirator. Okay, hold on. I
Thanks
did
so
put
much.
back up like the little
Sorry for the
cheat sheet.
interruption.
It's above the victim's head on the left.
I ain't got nothing to say.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, I want to turn to the May 4th incident.
I ain't got nothing to say.
Sir,
Oh, is he now pleading the 5th?
of 2016. Can you tell us what
Hopefully they retract their sweetheart deal for him if he's not going to cooperate.
I ain't got nothing to say. I respect what y'all doing here, but I ain't got nothing to say about the incident.
Well, that's not true, right? You don't want to. Right? But you do have something to say. Can you please tell the jury about the May 4th incident?
Okay, May 4th incident is the shooting death of the first victim, Mr. Christopher Jones, age 40. He was actually mistaken identity for the person that they were trying to kill.
Sorry, I know it's hard.
I did turn up the volume all the way up. I'll try to pay attention.
141st Street the night Christopher Jones was shot.
I ain't got nothing to say.
On May 4th, 2016, were you in a car on 41st Street?
I ain't got nothing to say.
Sir, do you understand this is a court
Yes, ma'am.
and that witnesses get sworn in? that they answer questions.
And you received a deal, sir.
You understand that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I ain't
You
got nothing.
understand that you have information that the jury needs about this case, right?
Well, if I was a juror right now,
Do you understand that?
I wonder if the jurors
Do you
know
want me
that.
to ask it in smaller questions? Does that help better? Mr. Taylor, were you with those people that you have just talked about?
Oh, your headband is dark blue?
Larry, Anwan, and Brice Rhodes.
This
on
is
May
the
4th,
black one I finally found. I don't know if I have the dark blue one.
Answer that question. Were you with them that night? May 3rd into May 4th, 2016. So there are 3 answers you can give to that question. You could say, yes, I was with them, no, I wasn't with them, or I don't remember. What's
We
your
have
answer to
Christmas
that
ones.
question?
Wait. I have my Christmas hat. I have my Christmas topiary behind me.
Mr. Taylor, do you remember a conversation that you had with Detective Tonelli about this incident?
I should have made some popcorn. This is a battle of
We're gonna need you to
the
say
battle
an
of wits
answer.
has
It could be
begun.
yes, no, or I don't remember.
Yep.
Oh, the little thing that's up on the screen now. Legal proceedings. 3 people. Anwan Carter, Ja'Cory Taylor, and Tieran Coleman pled guilty in connection. Oops, went away now. Maybe I should make that a little slower. Oops. Oh, you know what? I don't know where it is. I was going to look up a pattern for crocheting some headbands. I like to, these ones, I normally would sew ones that were like this because I like how they go wide. Because I have this I have a little teeny peanut size, like child size head, but this gigantic forehead. So I kind of like I love these Amazon headbands. I should start to wear them more often. But I was going to look up a crochet pattern for headbands. Well, I don't really
Ladies and
want...
gentlemen, I need to speak with this witness outside of your presence. And ask you to come back again, and we'll just say 2 o'clock. Take 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing we started late. Now let's see if they have any hot mics. So yesterday, the last couple trials I have covered. The judge, I think it was Gareth Pursehouse, and then Tim Bleefnick's trial.
John, can we lock the courtroom door for a moment? Does anybody want to leave for a minute? I'm going to lock the door for a moment.
And those judges forbid any audio or video outside the presence of
Thank
the...
you. All right, Mr. Taylor, I'm going to give you some time to talk to Mr. Ferraccio, who is here at my request as your attorney. But let me say this. When a question is asked of you, you can answer it yes, no, or I don't remember. And if you want to, you can explain more beyond that. But simply not answering will result in me holding you in contempt of court and putting you in jail likely. Additionally, it could open you up to other consequences, such as your prior plea deal being taken away and all of the charges against you being reinstated. Now, I do not care how you answer, but you will either answer or remain in the jail. Mr. Ferraccio, I'll give you some time to speak with him now.
He's not in custody.
Yeah, he's not in custody. Yep,
You, conference.
conference room.
Ooh, you in trouble now.
Yeah, John, I'm sorry. The outer door is the one we'll need to secure.
So he's not in custody. Now, the other co-conspirator that testified at the very end yesterday, he's in custody on an unrelated thing. He served his sentence regarding this matter already, went down to Florida and decided to obtain a firearm, which is illegal in the state of Florida for a convicted felon. Huh.
I mean, that is what it is. That's, I'm having flashbacks to the Hammond trial.
Okay, I'm eavesdropping now.
By the way, which is, I don't know. Jesus, no, I don't remember and I don't know.
Okay.
This is awesome that they have this hot mic. I feel like a spy. Crime Spies! This is us.
Were you with him? I feel like that would have been a sensible answer.
Okay, I'm just going to sit here and listen to these people. Until the judge is like, sir, are you recording this?
No, me either, because this is not how it was 5 seconds before this started.
Oh, we got a great crowd over on Rumble. Thank you so much. True crime is really picking up over on Rumble side.
Drink back there.
Okay, so what do you think? Do you think we should eavesdrop a little bit more, or should we put it in fast forward and eavesdrop?
Lilana, you want to come out here with us a minute, Brian?
Oh, we're not that far behind. All right, so a little housekeeping maybe. Where's my list? Oh, so I was mentioning at the end of the morning session yesterday, or today, earlier. Do you guys remember the case of Gypsy Rose? Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So for those of you on the Rumble side who are just joining us, I'll put it up on the screen. They just got back from lunch. There was one very short witness, and then the next witness that's on the stand is one of the co-conspirators that witnessed the deaths of all the victims in this case. There's 3. There's the 2 boys pictured on the left-hand side, middle left-hand side of your screen. Above their heads is just kind of like a summary outlining the events that led up to this trial and a few nuggets after that. I haven't updated it to including day 1 and 2 testimony bullet points. But so just hang tight. The co-conspirator who was on the stand, they brought in a public defender to assist him during his testimony because he is refusing to answer the questions posed by the prosecuting attorney. In exchange for his plea deal that he received relating to these charges, he's supposed to be testifying against the defendant, Brice, aka Rambo the Rapper, who I have christened as Freakosaurus Rex. don't know why. So just hang tight. The judge dismissed the jurors for a moment, and then she spoke directly to him just a little bit ago, saying, you know, you can say yes, no, I don't know, but you're not. If you don't cooperate, she's going to hold him in contempt, likely throw him in jail, and the sweetheart deal that he received in exchange for his testimony will be rescinded and reinstated. This guy. Here, let me move my trigger warning. So for those of you on Rumble, just hang tight. I'll just put it in fast speed. I mean, he's still not back. So then after the judge, you know, gave him a tongue lashing, he left with the public defender that was brought in to speak with him. And now they're out in the hallway. The jurors were dismissed. Or, you know, excused. So that's what's happening. I did put... Okay, so back to my housekeeping. While we're waiting, so Gypsy Rose Blanchard, she's the one... Here, let me bring up her face. She's being paroled. News.
Later, who Tyler Childers fans? You Tyler Childers fan, Brian? Do you know who Tyler Childers is? Are you Tyler Childers fans? Are you a Tyler Childers fan?
I think it's December 26th.
Okay, cool. Not then.
Okay, Gypsy Rose Blanchard will soon exit a prison in Chillicothe, Missouri. I can have somebody read this to us. And experience freedom for the first time in 8 years. The man with whom she conspired to kill her mother faces a lifetime of incarceration. Nicholas Godejohn, Blanchard's boyfriend in 2015, when he brutally stabbed Dee Dee Blanchard several times at a Springfield home before he and Gypsy fled to his native Wisconsin. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff that happens in Wisconsin. Continues to fight for a new trial. His new public defender, Tyler Coyle, filed another appeal Tuesday citing ineffective counsel. Oh, thank you so much, YouTube, for putting a commercial in a live stream. Oh, he came back.
That might
Tell him so.
sure the
I know it was good.
Had you ever seen him before?
No, I ain't never seen him dead in my life.
Hold on. I'm
Had,
sorry.
Did you ever find out if he in fact was?
This is why no one watches Crime Spies, because
Well, it's a statement.
Like that.
Um,
He was with me that night.
how did I
on the
miss
other
this? What's going on in my world?
Miss Jones Brown, you can pick up where you left off.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Taylor. Returning to May 4th, 2016. Were you there when Christopher Jones was killed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you? Were you in a vehicle?
I was in the back seat.
Backseat of the vehicle?
Mhm.
Whose car was it?
Brice.
What color was the car?
Blue Mazda.
Mazda?
Mhm.
Who was driving?
Maurice.
Who was next to Maurice in the front?
Larry.
Who was in the back?
Brice.
Were you behind Maurice or Larry?
I was behind Larry.
And the defendant was behind Maurice?
Mhm.
So driver's side rear?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you, oh, was Anwan there?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was Anwan?
He was behind us in the truck.
What truck was he in?
He was in the truck he had that day. He was following us.
He followed you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how he got the truck? Was it a truck that he had long term?
Nah, just for short term that day. Just for that day.
He showed up in the truck that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why did y'all go to 41st Street?
Looking for somebody.
Who were you looking for?
I don't know.
Did you ever know specifically who you were looking for?
We never knew. We just went along with it.
Who knew? Who was the person who knew?
Brice.
Sorry.
Brice knew.
Did he tell you all who he was looking for?
Ma'am.
But did he tell you why he was looking for someone?
Something about a price on their head or something like that.
Somebody with a price on their head. What does that mean?
Somebody with a price on their head, like, looking for him.
Does that mean that somebody else is going to pay if this person gets killed?
It means the person who did it get paid.
The person who did it gets paid? Okay. How did you all know that there was somebody with a price on his head?
Brice told us about it.
Did he tell you all about this before that night or that night?
It was at night.
Did you, okay, so you're all driving down 41st Street, you're in the back seat, Anwan following, what happens?
Rode around. Maurice rode around. And, stopped the car. And he seen somebody in the middle of the street. And Brice told him to get out the street. Shot him.
Who shot him?
Brice.
Brice Rhodes shot him. So you're in the passenger side rear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So were you all, was the person who got shot on the other side of the street from you all?
He was on.
You don't know? It's probably an unclear question. Was the fellow on the sidewalk or in the street?
Street.
Okay. Was he crossing the street or what was he doing?
He may have been crossing the street. He was in the street, but he may have been crossing the street, but he was in the middle of the street.
Did Mr. Rhodes shoot him with a gun? I know that's obvious, but just to be clear, it was with a gun, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What type of gun was it?
9mm.
How did he get the gun?
Got it from me.
Where did you get the gun?
Friend of mine.
How long had you had the gun?
I didn't have it a day.
You didn't have it a day, so you got it that day.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you get the gun?
My own protection.
And how did Mr. Rhodes end up with it?
He was with me that night. He's with all of us at night. He told us that somebody had a price on their head, so he wanted the gun. So I gave him the gun.
Could you describe how he shot Mr. Jones?
He pulled up and he was in the street. I just remember that he shot him. I don't really remember. I just know he said, "Get out the street," or something like that. And he shot him.
And were you sitting next to Brice Rhodes when he shot Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know Mr. Jones at all?
None of us did.
Had you ever seen him before?
Nah, I ain't never seen him dead in my life.
Did you ever find out if he, in fact, was the person with the price on his head?
Judge, we would object.
Why?
That's a statement. You want to approach?
No, I can rephrase. How did you feel about this situation?
I was young. I just went along with it, to be honest with you. We all did, you know what I'm saying? Kind of,
I'm sorry, what was the last thing?
we just went along with it.
Did Mr. Rhodes, to your knowledge, did he ever show up with money from this price on the head business?
No, ma'am.
No, because it was the wrong guy.
After the shooting, what did you all do?
We went to Maurice and Larry's house.
Did all 5 of you go or just some of you?
We all went.
Okay. What happened at their house?
We didn't really talk about much. We just basically just told us not to tell nobody. That was it that I remember.
Okay. Did you all discuss it later amongst yourselves?
Not really. I mean,
Yes, make
Yeah,
sure you find the thumbs up button, everyone. That would be fantastic.
we ain't never seen nobody
Thanks
like,
for the reminder.
get shot, you know what I mean? So, I'm not gonna lie, we was all scared, you know what I mean? It wasn't just them two, we was all scared, you know what I'm saying? Maurice, Larry, all of us, we was scared, man.
You were scared?
Yeah, we was young, you know what I'm saying? We didn't really, we just went along with it.
Did you all, any of you, discuss this prior to May 21st?
Yeah, me and Maurice did. And Larry. He told me he wasn't messing with Brice anymore because of the situation.
Judge, I'm going to object to your son.
Did Brice Rhodes say anything?
No.
Okay. Did he say anything about Larry and Maurice?
Just said that he can't mess with them no more because they told their mama about the situation. He feared they would say something to the police.
So he believed they told their mother?
Yes, ma'am.
What does he mean that you can't mess with them?
No,
What did you, I know you don't know, but what did you understand that to mean?
Judge, we object to speculation.
I'm going to sustain that.
Okay. Did he tell you anything that he thought should happen?
He feared they would tell him, so he was saying we can't mess with them no more. We got to get him back for telling them. That's what I remember.
Get him back for telling?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he say anything more specific?
Not really, not that I remember.
Do you remember talking to Detective Tonelli about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think if you saw a transcript of your conversation that might help refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm going to show you page 10. That specifically.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that help refresh your memory? What did he tell you he wanted to do to them?
So we gotta kill him.
At that time, did you believe him?
Shocked. I mean, I didn't know what to believe, to be honest, because of the Chris situation. I didn't really know. I just, I don't really know.
Where were you when he said this?
As I remember, it was just we was in the car one day. I don't remember what day. I don't remember what day. I just know we was in the car and he was telling me this because Maurice was scared. You know what I'm saying? Like he was scared that he was gonna tell or whatever. So he was telling me that.
Judge, it's difficult for me to hear the answer, but I believe it's a mix of hearsay and non-hearsay. So we object to the hearsay part.
Sustain.
Let's move on to, well, in this time period, were there days when you saw Maurice and Larry?
Yeah, we was still with him every day after that.
Okay.
Me and Anwan was.
Were there days that you saw Brice Rhodes?
Yeah, at times, not often.
Okay. Tell us about May 21st, which I believe would have been that Saturday.
I remember riding around with my cousin Q. Me and Anwan was riding around with Q that day.
So Q is the nickname of your another cousin?
That's my cousin.
So Q and Anwan and you were in a car?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you all doing?
Just riding around, females. Q had a girlfriend. We were just riding around. I was calling Maurice and we was calling Larry because we was trying to go back to their house that day. And just kept calling and stuff like that because we usually we'll go out, we'll be out that day, and like at the time I really didn't have nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? So
Where were you living then?
that's the house.
House to house?
Different friends' house.
What was going on with your? Did you typically live with your mom or your dad?
I had issues with my family.
Okay. So did you? How long had it? Well, when you were really little, did you live with your mom or your dad or both?
My mom, for the most part. My dad got killed.
At that time, were you living with your mom?
Yeah, I was living with my mom off and on. That's the reason why I was bouncing from house to house, because I didn't know where to stay at the time.
Okay. Okay, so you had a cousin Q who was driving you around that day with Anwan. Was he also Anwan's cousin, or was it the other side of the family?
Q didn't really look at him as a cousin, but you could say that because Antoine, which is Anwan's brother, is Q's cousin too. That's my mama's sister.
Okay.
So we was all cousins anyway.
So do Anwan and Antoine have different moms or dads?
They got different moms, same dad.
Okay. So Antoine was your all's cousin, and he was Anwan's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So you are related to Anwan through that? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. So you're riding around with Q. What happens?
Calling, I was calling Reese, calling him back to back, trying to see, we was trying to go over there at night, something, as I remember, I said that, Maurice actually, he called me and let me know he was, I forget, at the time, no, I'm sorry about that, rephrase that. I called him to go over there, and we finally went over there. They was gone. Me and Butter went over, they was gone. And
so you went to the house where they lived with their mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Over by Iroquois Park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they were not there? Okay.
And I was confused because, he told me, after Maurice was telling me that he wasn't hanging with him no more, and fooling Brice no more, I was confused on why he was still with him and why they were still, with Brice after the situation with Chris. So I went there to spend the night, me and Butter did, and we got there. Their cousin answered the door, and they wasn't there. They wasn't there that night. When we left, we kept calling Maurice's cell phone. I called Brice's cell phone. And I was like, "Where Maurice and Larry at?" And said that they right here and stuff like that. And Maurice is in the background and Larry's in the background partying. There's people over there. I just thought everything was fine at that point. I didn't really think nothing, like, back when you asked me, like, was he serious? You know what I'm saying? Like, about doing that to them. I mean, at that point, I didn't think he was serious no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really think nothing of it. I thought he was just gonna let him live. We was all gonna be cool. Stuff like that. I didn't really think he was really gonna do that. I thought we was gonna party, so I insisted on going anyway. Even though Q and N1 told me not to go, I insisted because I ain't had nowhere to go. Q and N1 really could have went to their family. Me, I just wanted somewhere to stay at night. I ain't really wasn't thinking about hurting nobody or nothing like that. We wasn't thinking like that. N1 didn't want to go. My cousin didn't want me to go, but I insisted on going anyway.
So you went to get someplace to stay?
Yes, ma'am. So we went to Brice's apartment that night. My cousin Q dropped me off. He dropped me and N1 off.
Why didn't Q go?
Q didn't want me to go anyway. Q didn't really fool. He didn't really fool too much with Brice anyway. He didn't want me around him, so that's why he didn't really want me to go. We went that day. As I remember, it was people in the house. I believe a female and two guys, a female and a guy, as I remember. So and they was drinking. Everything was cool at that point. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was just in the house, chilling. I remember two other people being there, and I'd never seen them before. N1. Never seen them before.
Were Maurice and Larry there when you got there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it was Maurice, tell me if I get this right, Maurice, Larry, Brice Rhodes, a female, and two dudes you'd never seen before? Okay. And so at first everything's cool?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long did everything stay cool?
Everything was cool until we was all drinking and we was all just there, and I didn't know the other two people that was there, the two gentlemen there. So I'm really confused at that point. I didn't really we just partying, we kicking it, and then I remember that Brice said he asked Maurice, "Are you telling on me?" or something like that. "Are you telling on me? Are you telling on me?" or something like that. Something like that. I just remember that part or something like that. He was asking questions and stuff like that. And Maurice had said something to me, and we was kind of arguing. We got into a dispute. And as I remember, that was before Brice had asked him, "Are you telling on me?" It had nothing to do about, the situation. Me and Maurice just got into a dispute over the fact, like, we was all drinking, we was partying and stuff like that, and stuff kind of, you know what I'm saying? So, he asked him, like, "Are you telling on me?" And he kind of denied it, like, "Nah, I ain't doing that," stuff like that. And at that point, he said we got to violate him and stuff like that. I didn't understand. He just wanted, like, he just said violate him. And then, as I remember, before that, I just remember Maurice picked up a knife on me or whatever. And Brice had grabbed the knife from Maurice. And that's when he hit him. You know what I'm saying? He hit him.
So he hit who?
Hit Maurice.
And who is the one doing the hitting?
He hit Maurice because he picked up a knife on me.
But I'm sorry, just to be clear, who hit Maurice?
Brice.
Okay. Was the female still present at this point?
Female? Nah, everybody left. The female left because it was too many dudes there. As I recall, like it was too many dudes at that point, so she left, and the other two people stayed. And Butter was there, and Maurice and Larry was there. But after that, he kind of like he didn't really go at me with the knife. He did, but he didn't. It was aggressive, so he hit him. Brice hit Maurice and made him put the knife. He grabbed the knife from him, and that's when he insisted on doing what he did.
Okay, so everything's cool. You and just tell me if I'm getting this timeline right. You and Maurice kind of get into a little argument.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, did you think it was a serious argument?
Now, we've been into it before, and next day we right back. Right back good. So I didn't think nothing of it. We didn't think to do it in that. No, it don't matter.
Okay.
It was that serious to even. You know what I'm saying?
So when he pulled the knife, were you scared?
At that point, we all confused. You know what I'm saying?
No, I meant when Maurice pulled the knife.
I remember lunging, like,
Pardon?
I remember jumping back, like lunging back, like,
Uh-huh.
you know what I'm saying?
And so at that point, Maurice pulls the knife. Mr. Rhodes takes the knife.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you said he hit him, was it a slap or a punch? Or what? Describe it however you remember it.
I don't remember. I know it was either a slap or a punch. I just know he hit him, and he took the knife from him.
Where were you all in the apartment?
He was in the living room.
And was everybody standing, sitting?
So, we was standing at that point. Everybody was standing around.
Okay, so after the punch or hit, I'll say hit, is all this happening before or after he started talking about the violating?
I just know that he said we gotta violate him or something, violate them or violate him.
And is that after he hit him?
After he hit him, because he.
I'm just trying to get the timing. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he says, so is that like disciplining?
Yes, violate whatever he was planning on doing. Violate somebody.
When he said that, what happened next?
He said something about, he told me to, Brice had told me to, he said, I want you to, violate him. I was scared, so, I'm like, what you mean? He said it. He's like, I want you to punch him in his chest, and if you hit him in his face, I'm gonna hit you. He told me it's my reach. I just remember he had me punching him. He said stop, or something like that. And he had I thought everything was fine at that point until he said we gotta tie him up. We gotta tie him up or something like that. As I remember, it's been a while, so I just remember certain detail like that. You know what I'm saying? That I can remember. But I just remember that he said we gotta tie him up, and tied him up, and pinned him down. He stabbed Maurice, and
Who stabbed Maurice?
Brice did.
Okay. Was Maurice tied up at that point?
Yeah, he was tied up.
What was used to tie him up?
I don't really remember. I just remember that he was tied up.
Okay. Who did the tying?
Brice did. And somebody else that was there. I don't really remember. I just know he was tied up, and he had a sock in his mouth, and he pinned him down, and he began stabbing him. He made anyone stab him too.
Did you see where he was stabbing him?
Man, stomach, chest, stuff like that.
Do you know how many approximate times it was?
It was a lot. I don't really remember.
What was Maurice doing while this was going on?
What can you do?
Who was in the room while this was happening?
Yeah, it was me, brother, Brice, two other people, and Maurice. He's pretty much fighting, fighting, trying to, he made N1 stab him, and once N1 stabbed him, he kind of moved him to the door. He just had me standing there.
You were standing by the door?
He, two other people that was in there, I didn't really know. They was already there when we got there, so I'm thinking that, you know what I'm saying? In my mind, I couldn't do nothing but stand there, worrying if somebody's gonna do something to us for, trying to interrupt anything. So he went to he kind of took Maurice to the door. They all, well, I don't really remember who, but I just remember he going to the door, and Larry was in the bathroom. He made Larry come out, and the same thing happened to Larry. And once he did Larry, he made me stab Larry.
So Larry was the second one. Larry was 14.
So I'm sorry to make you talk through this again, but I want to just get the picture of where everybody is. While Maurice was being stabbed, where was Larry?
He was in the bathroom.
How did Larry get to the bathroom?
The other two people put him in there.
Did Larry want to go to the bathroom?
They made him.
Could you hear Larry in the bathroom?
I don't really remember. I just know he was in the bathroom until Maurice was pulled out the living room.
After you said Brice Rhodes stabbed Maurice a lot of times, and then he made Anwan stab him.
Yes, ma'am.
Had Maurice stopped moving at that point?
I don't really remember, ma'am. I just know that he pulled him to the side and made Larry come out next.
How did he pull him to the side?
Put him by the door.
Was Maurice walking, or was he down on the ground?
He was down.
And did he drag him to the door or carry him to the door? Do you know?
I just remember he was, can I grab a tissue? I just remember he grabbed him to the door. He slid him to the door. I don't know, man. Then Larry came out. I just know he had somebody watching the door to make sure it wasn't nobody coming in the house.
When Larry came out, could he, were his eye, I mean, could he see what happened to his brother, or were his eyes covered?
Not that I remember.
You can't remember? Okay. So let's walk through what happened to Larry. I'm sorry, but how did it start? Was he tied up?
Same thing. I just remember that. I remember him trying to break free, and he pinned him down and began stabbing him. And then after he was down, he had me the knife and made me stab him as well.
How many times did Brice Rhodes stab Larry?
I don't recall. I don't really remember. I just know that he stabbed him.
To your knowledge, did he appear alive when you were stabbing him?
No, ma'am.
How many times did you stab him?
Just once or twice. After the fact that
Did Brice Rhodes say anything about why he was making you stab Larry?
I mean, not really. I just know once we was in it, it was in it. There was no, we involved, pretty much we there. We just, you know, so we just as guilty as we there. Couldn't do nothing though. I mean, I was scared. So it was all scared. I don't know. I just know couldn't really save him.
Did the other two guys participate in the stabbing in any way other than restraint?
Yeah, after the fact they was already down, he made them stab him as well.
Did you know these two guys at all?
Never seen him. Me and Emma never seen him. I believe Maurice and Larry knew the other two guys, but we didn't know him.
Were you later able to give a description of either of them to Detective Sinelli?
Like brown skin or light skin or something like that. As far as I can remember.
So you described one of them as light-skinned and one of them as darker-skinned?
He was light skinned.
Okay.
Brown skin, light skin.
Did you have anything else to go on? After Larry was down, what happened to his body?
The same thing. He moved him to the side of the door. He made us put him in like laundry totes or something like that.
Laundry totes? When they were, to back up 1 second, when they were in the living room, were they just on the carpet or was there anything down on the carpet? When they were kneeling down, if you recall, was it just that they were on the carpet or was there a blanket down or anything, sheets, anything?
I don't really recall.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So you all put them in laundry totes?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we talking like laundry hampers, like you would carry your
Yes, ma'am.
laundry down the steps in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, they're in laundry totes. Now what happens?
He made. I just remember. He made all of us carry him to the car.
And which car was that?
The blue Mazda.
Did you all put them in the Mazda?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the bodies go? Like what part of the car?
It was either the back seat or it was the trunk. I don't really remember. I just know that he took the blue Mazda.
Okay. Did you all get in the car after that?
No, me and Anwar actually stayed back. He told us don't go nowhere. He made us clean up.
How did you clean up?
I just told Anwar, we gotta pretty much gotta get out of here. And we gotta use bleach. We gotta use bleach to get this up. We just cleaned it. We cleaned it up with bleach.
What happened next?
Cleaned up until he got back.
He got back?
Yes, ma'am.
By he, who are we talking about?
Brice.
And did he come back alone?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he tell you what happened to the bodies?
Said that someone said it was burnt.
He said he burned them? Did he say who burned them?
No, ma'am. He just said he dumped them in the backyard.
And he told you the bodies were burnt?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he tell you where he dumped them?
West End somewhere.
West End?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was he satisfied with your all's cleaning job?
I don't know.
Did you all clean more when he got back?
He was just trying to dispose of all the evidence, pretty much.
So what happened with that?
He made me and one clean the blood. When he got back, he was disposing of evidence. So
What type of evidence?
could have been clothes. It could have been. You said sheets. I don't really recall. I just know it was evidence.
And was it stuff with blood on it?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you all do with that stuff?
It was took to a dumpster and they burnt the stuff up.
Okay. Why didn't you and Anwan just leave during the night?
You said, why didn't we?
Why didn't you? While he was gone.
I was too scared, to be honest with you. I wasn't even in my right state of mind at that point. I mean, me personally, I never witnessed or seen nothing like that in my life, so. Man, I don't know why we didn't leave, man, to be honest. I just know we was scared. We just went along. We just did what he told us to do.
So when he got back, and you all dealt with the evidence, what happened next?
I just remember riding around and getting dropped off, as far as I remember.
Where'd you get dropped off?
I know we went to a few spots, but I don't really remember the spots we went to. I just know we took us somewhere. I went home, and then N1, he got dropped off somewhere. So, after that point, I went to my grandmother's house, and that was it.
Did you eventually, did you have a pair of black Timberlands?
Yeah, those
Tell us about those.
was originally mine. Those was my boots that I got. I let Maurice have them at that time. I don't know if I had them on that day or the situation. I don't know if I had them on that day. I just know they had blood on them. And then everything that I had on, I just was trying to get rid of. Stuff like the only thing I had was the boots on. And I just remember putting them in a closet at my girlfriend's cousin's house. And I put them in a closet. And I kept them there until I was picked up by police.
Was that Monisha Anderson?
Hmm?
Monisha, was that her name? Your girlfriend's cousin?
Yeah, Monisha Anderson.
And was that on Liberty Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
And after, were you arrested on this 3 days after it occurred?
I was arrested on May 25th after the 22nd. So, I was arrested. And I knew they was coming for me, obviously. They already arrested Brice and N1, so I knew they was coming for me.
And that day, did you talk to Detective Tonelli?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell him what you just told the jury on May 25th?
Around that time, everything, my first statement, I didn't.
What sort of statement did you give at that time?
I just told him that I didn't know.
Why did you say that?
Scared. I didn't know. I just didn't want to say what was going on at that time. Be honest, I really didn't want, I didn't know what to say, man. I didn't know. I just didn't tell him everything. I just remember saying certain things. I didn't really tell him everything that was going on in the situation.
Later on, did you give a different statement?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what had changed at that point?
Everything I just said, pretty much, in the first one. Everything I just said.
Is this the true statement?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, did you receive some correspondence from Brice Rhodes? A letter?
Yes, ma'am.
How are we doing? So this is one of the guys, co-conspirator, Ja'Cory Taylor, also known as Corey. He was involved in the plan for the initial hit to collect money. He's the one that obtained the gun or the firearm. Then there's 5 people on the car. I keep trying to figure out who the Q is. Is the Q? So there was 5 people in the car. There was Brice. There was the guy that testified yesterday, Antoine Carter, and Brice, Antoine, this guy Ja'Cory, and then the 2 victims, Larry and Maurice. So those 5 people were in the car. They rolled up to the intersection on May 4th to do this hit. They told the victim, Corey Jones, age 40 at the time, "Bitch, get out of the road," shot him, and ended up not collecting any money for the hit because it was the wrong guy. Then 3 weeks later, Brice, the defendant here, caught wind that Maurice and Larry, ages 14 and 16, were spilling the beans to their mother. And Brice caught wind of that. And in the presence of this witness, Ja'Cory, and then Antoine Carter, the one that testified at the end of yesterday, Brice, the defendant, asked this guy and the Antoine Carter that testified yesterday if the 2 brothers should live or die, and subsequently locked. No, I forget who was who again. Locked one of the brothers in the bathroom. Wait, here. It says here. Okay, say they locked Larry in the bathroom. Larry at the time was 14. And I'm not sure on the screen, the 2 pictures of the brothers. I still haven't figured out who is who. So they locked Larry in the bathroom. They took Maurice in the living room and decided to stab him repeatedly all over the place, including in his southern region. They had put sheets down so that they could drag the body, more easily. Once Maurice was dead, they went and got Larry, the brother. So Maurice was 16. They went and retrieved Larry from the bathroom, age 14. He already had his hat pulled over his head, and he had some kind of sock in his mouth as a gag. And then he got the same treatment. Then they put the 2 brothers in 2 different totes, one in the back seat, one in the trunk. A couple of them were supposed to clean up and do the mother's dishes, because this happened in the mother's apartment. Sorry. While Brice and friends went and disposed of the bodies, which were subsequently found in the very early AM hours of the 22nd. There was a witness yesterday that testified about the items found burned. So they attempted to burn the bodies after they dumped them behind this like housing area in a field. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to do like a flow chart.
Did he
It's
ever
hard to
see it?
keep this straight.
And then the fourth page.
Yes, ma'am.
And did he give these four to you at the same time or different times?
It was the same time.
Okay. Did you see him as he gave these to you? Like you physically got these from him?
No, I didn't physically get them from somebody. Gave them to me.
Okay. Did you see that all take place?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, the Commonwealth moves to admit these.
Judge, we would object and move and ask to refer.
Sure.
Broken Baker, yes, it's horrible, isn't it? Can you imagine? It's terrible. No, I wrote somewhere. Oh, so the bodies were found on that, 4028 River Park Drive address. I'm not sure if I've caught what the crime scene address was. Kids' cases, it always hits you. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I tell you what, the very first trial I did was Letitia Stouck. That poor Gannon kid. I mean, how she didn't get, they must not have had the death penalty in Colorado, because how she escaped the death penalty, I have no idea. And last I heard, so after she was convicted, she went to, the actual big house. And then just like a few months ago, she was moved. I still haven't quite gotten to the bottom of that. It's horrible. Horrible. They're all terrible. Except for the ones where I think the person was like wrongly accused. Well, or I don't think the state had their burden. Like Tim Bleefnick, I still think it's plausible that the burglar that was burgling in the neighborhood possibly was the one that actually killed her. His interview on 48 Hours, I think it was. I did a live stream a couple months ago with it. And I had a guest host, my sister from another mister, Chrissy. And we watched it, and she didn't believe his tears. I thought his tears were actually, he's appealing his conviction too. And there was some shenanigans going on with the judge in that. The judge's wife, something about was posting on social media. It's a super ass small town. That's the case. That's the trial that the Muddy River News guy stumbled across I was actually taking his tweets and like compiling them and then like doing a summary that I'm trying to do for this one. But, and then I would, say hat tip, Muddy River News for, doing the play-by-play Twitter posts, X posts. And, he messages me and says, "Hey, can you give me a copy of that handy dandy little summary you've compiled?" And I said, "Sure. Do you want it like in PDF form, or would you rather have it in a Word document?" "Oh, Word document is fine." I'm like, "Sure." And I'm telling my daughters, maybe I'm going to finally make it big in the true crime community. Well, come to find out, the next day, his paper comes out, and it's exactly my summary verbatim. Verbatim. Not even like summarizing it. He used exactly my whole entire thing. Like he just copy and pasted it and hit publish. Okay, so then the next day I thought, well, maybe this was just an accident. Next day comes, "Hey, do you got that document?" I said, "Sure." Emailed it to him. Same thing happened. Third day comes. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to cover this case anymore. I lied. Because actually it was really hard because they were supposed to be releasing the footage like a couple hours after. And because it was such a small town and that was like their first big, like, you know, mainstream media news thing, they were kind of struggling and they wanted to like, you know, edit the footage. And I'm like, I think most of us who like do live streams, we kind of edit on the fly. So can you just give us, you know, pretty raw and we'll fix it, you know, we'll fast forward, whatever. Anyway, that's what I did. Well, then that trial was super, super ass short and got to the very end and they had like a YouTube live stream when it was over, him and his two little sidekicks that do like a weekly podcast thing. And, you know, they were like, so how's that? And he goes, oh, you know, there's some really great people in the true crime community on social media. There's this one gal, what's her name? Crime Time. Or I don't even know. It wasn't even sort of close. Oh, I forget her name. Ha ha ha. She was super helpful. Really. I was so helpful I wrote your articles for a couple, 2-3 days. Yeah. So there's my little rant while we waited. Oh, I suppose we are kind of behind. My back hurts. I hope he never, ever, ever, ever sees the light of day ever, ever, ever again. I don't care. He's not eligible for the death penalty because apparently he is not competent enough to be put to death. I'm sorry, but if you're competent enough to carry out not one but 3 different murders,
Mr. Taylor, did you recognize this as Brice Rhodes' handwriting?
I think you should be competent enough to be put to death.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's past to me. I don't know if he writes like that or not, if that's what you're asking. I don't know if he writes like that or not.
Sir, was any of this, was killing Christopher Jones your idea?
That was none of our idea. It was brought to us.
It was brought to you? Whose
ma'am.
idea was it?
Bryce's idea.
Who shot Christopher Jones?
Bryce.
Was killing Larry and Maurice your idea?
No, ma'am.
Whose idea was it?
Bryce.
Who began the stabbing of Maurice Gordon?
Bryce.
Who began the stabbing of Larry Ordway?
Bryce.
Who told you to stab Larry Ordway?
Bryce.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jones-Brown. Somebody need a break? Yeah, all right, let's take a 5-minute break. Be back outside the doors. Well, let's just say 3:05.
All rise for the jury.
And we've got another break. What would compel someone to tattoo their face? I know I'm probably older than everyone watching, but in the early 90s, the daytime soap opera Young and the Restless had a guy, what's his name now? David Kimball. David Kimball, I forget what the premise of it was, but David Kimball was dating, I think it was Nina. And something had happened, and then someone died, and David Kimball wanted to look like Michael Damian. I forget what Michael Damian's character's name was on the soap opera. But he took Nina and Michael Damian to a plastic surgeon and said, because he wanted to hide his identity because he was running from the law. He was on the lam. And said, I want to look like Michael Damian. Well, spoiler alert. I'll just pause. Spoiler alert. When he unraveled his bandages, instead of looking like Michael Damian, the plastic surgeon had etched into his forehead with a, scalpel, killer across his forehead. He ended up dying he fell into a trash compactor, like one of those big giant ones. There's my story.
So I'm going to ask if you can. I'm going to ask you some questions. I can tell you right now, it was hard for me to hear you sometimes before. So I'm going to ask if you can.
Sir, it's hard to hear you too when you don't speak in the microphone.
So everybody can hear you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a lot of things I need to ask you. And I'm going to ask you about a lot of the same topics that the prosecutor asked, but I have some different questions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If my questions don't make sense, tell me. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, the prosecutor had transcripts because you talked to the police multiple times, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I got them too. We can start off with some things we can agree about, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, you were definitely involved in these deaths, right?
I was present. Yes, sir. I was there.
I really shouldn't call them deaths. I'm going to call them murders. You were involved in all three of these murders, right?
I was present.
Well, you don't really want to answer that question, right? Right?
If I was there,
That you were involved.
involved, I was there. Just as guilty, right?
In fact, you have not wanted to ever be in a courtroom talking about this, right?
No, sir.
You were hoping that you never get caught, right?
Yes, sir.
But you did, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about another thing that we agree about. The gun. The gun that you admitted when the prosecutor was questioning you, the 9mm, right?
Yes, sir.
You purchased that?
Yes, sir.
You purchased that by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you buy that?
Out in the home that night that happened.
Tell the jury where that home is.
Maurice and Larry's house.
You purchased that gun at Maurice and Larry's house.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You purchased it the night of the first murder.
Yes, sir.
Which room of the house were you in when you made that purchase?
No, I was downstairs.
I really couldn't hear that.
I was downstairs.
Was it in the living room, the kitchen, a bathroom?
You can say that.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really couldn't understand that last.
Downstairs. I don't remember what room. I just know I was downstairs.
Okay. So you're saying it was downstairs, you just don't remember which room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you remember buying it. Was it with cash? Did you buy it with cash?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how much?
Like $200-$300.
Where'd you get the money?
I don't remember.
Who'd you buy it from?
A friend of mine.
Who?
A friend of mine that was there.
understand that. I am asking you who the friend is.
He was kin to Maurice and Larry. He was kin to Maurice and Larry, and I bought the gun from him.
So you bought it from someone related to Maurice and Larry. I'm going to ask you again. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but you really haven't answered my question. Who sold you the gun at Maurice and Larry's house?
It was a friend of theirs. I know he was there that night.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I actually.
It's a friend of Maurice and Larry's. And I bought the gun from him. He was there that night, and I bought the gun from him.
And folks knew you were there buying that gun.
Yeah, and one did. Maurice and Larry did.
You said that it was the same day as the first murder. I'm not asking you exactly what time, but was it at nighttime?
It was at night.
So it was a few hours later that it was used in a murder.
Yes, sir.
You said to this jury today that you got it for your own personal protection.
Yes, sir.
That's because telling this jury you got that gun for a murder sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Doesn't sound good, right?
Doesn't sound good, but I didn't get it for that. I didn't purchase the gun for that. I purchased it for me, my own protection.
It wasn't used for your protection, was it?
Nah. I didn't have it long. I didn't have the gun long to even use it.
That's exactly where
For
I
my
was going.
protection.
That's exactly where I was going next. And you got rid of that gun, right?
No.
Still got it.
Gave it to Brice.
That gun was disposed of that same night, right?
Correct? That's right.
Your cousin, N1, right?
Mm-hmm.
You call him Butta?
Yes, sir.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You agree that he was in a truck the night of the first murder?
Yes, sir.
Pickup truck?
Yes, sir.
He was driving?
Yes, sir.
Stolen pickup truck?
Say that. Wasn't his. He was too young to drive.
I know your answer was you can say that.
Yes, it was.
Okay. You helped him steal.
No, sir.
That truck ended up getting burned, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
Where did it get burned?
I don't remember.
You helped burn it.
Not to my knowledge. Not that I remember. Anyway, sorry. Not that I remember. I didn't help burn no truck. Not that I remember.
Your answer to whether or not you set fire to a stolen pickup truck is not that I remember?
I don't remember burning no truck. I didn't burn no truck.
Was it burned here in Jefferson County?
Yes, sir. In Louisville.
You know the county pretty well. Where was it?
In Louisville.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know where. I don't remember where, but I know it was in Louisville. Yes, sir. It was burnt in Louisville.
About when was it burnt?
Same day or the next day. I know it was after the Chris incident. I know it's burnt after that.
I notice you have face tattoo.
Yes, sir.
Is it one or two right there?
It's one. It's a name.
Okay. And I'm not sure. Do you mind angling yourself just a little bit? I'm not trying to be a jerk. So the jury can see. What is the name there, sir?
My daddy. MDIP Corey. My daddy.
Okay. And you also have an additional tattoo that I can see on your neck, right?
Angel Wing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to ask you about something else, okay?
Yes, sir.
You talked about today about the murders. When you first came in this room, you didn't want to answer those questions, right?
Sir.
It's fair to say that this isn't the first time you have not answered those questions. That may be a bad question that I just asked, so I'm going to ask it different.
Okay.
When you spoke to the police, you didn't want to answer any questions about your involvement either, did you?
No, sir.
What you're saying today is that Larry and Maurice, good friends of yours.
Yes, sir.
But you're also admitting to this jury that you were involved in their murders.
Yes, sir. I was there.
A little bit more than there, right?
I was there.
Well, let's talk about some of the differences between just being there and what happened. You're telling this jury that there were a whole bunch of people there, right? More than 5.
Yes, sir.
You told this jury that Maurice actually started something with you.
Yes, sir.
Prosecutor minimized it a little bit, but I want to make sure that I understand what it is that you're saying. You're saying Maurice pulled the knife on you.
Yes, sir.
There are different knives in this world, okay? Right?
Yes, sir.
Is the knife that we're talking about a knife that folds? Okay. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, sir. I don't recall what kind of knife it was. I just know it was a knife. I remember it was a knife.
So as opposed to like a kitchen knife or something like that, they're different. So you're saying you can't identify, don't know what knife at all? Is that what you're saying?
It wasn't no regular kitchen knife.
Okay.
It was a knife. I just know it was a knife. It wasn't no kitchen knife.
Okay, not a kitchen knife. Did you see, and I'm asking you under oath, did you see him where he got the knife? Out of his pocket, someplace else, you know?
Not that I recall. I just know it was a knife there. He kept a knife with him.
So was it his knife?
Was it his knife?
Yes.
Yes, it was his knife.
So
No. You talking about Maurice's knife?
I am.
No, it was his knife. It wasn't his knife. I'm sorry
Okay.
about that. I recall.
All right. And
He picked up a knife that Brice had, that Brice carried with him to attack me with it, to charge at me with it.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's the knife, and if I'm being confusing, you tell me, all right? That knife that got pulled on you,
Yes, sir.
can you tell us about that knife? What did it look like? How big was it? Stuff like that.
Like I said, I don't remember. I just know it wasn't no kitchen knife.
Okay. I think you just told me, but I'm not 100% sure I understood it. So where did he get it? Was it on a table?
I don't recall where he picked it up from. I just know he picked it up and charged at me with the knife.
Okay.
I don't remember where he got it from. I just know, yeah.
He charged at you with it.
Yes, sir.
Can you show us with your hand how he was holding it?
I just remember he was like this, not like running with it, just like this, like holding it, like trying to come, trying to come towards me. Yes, sir.
Okay. What was he doing with that hand that was holding the knife?
I don't remember. I just remember him coming toward me with the knife. I don't remember what the whole.
Okay.
How he looked and stuff. I don't remember.
Was he running? Was he slow walking?
He wasn't running. He wasn't walking. He was just trying to come towards me. People was pulling him back to not come towards me.
So other folks were holding him back.
Yeah, to not come towards me, to stop him.
All right. Was he also talking while he was doing that?
I don't remember. He was just mad.
Okay. But he was mad. You could tell he was mad.
Yes, sir.
You said, I'm trying to get this right, a minute ago, you lunged back. So you went back.
Yeah, I stepped back.
Yep. Okay. You did that because you didn't want to get stabbed.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And the only reason you didn't get stabbed is because other people grabbed him, right?
He wasn't gonna stab me.
Well, you lunged back because you were concerned he might, right?
Yeah, I lunged back, but he wasn't gonna stab me.
Well, he didn't stab you on this particular. He didn't, right? In part because people grabbed
Holding
him
back.
up,
Yes,
right?
sir. Mm-hmm.
Now, all this stuff we're talking about right now, everything we just talked about with Maurice, the knife, and all that, when the police first questioned you, you didn't say any of that. Right?
I mean, I said something, but I didn't say about the situation. I didn't say about the murders.
Well, what you actually said was, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't there. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. So all these things you're saying here to this jury, the first time you were asked about them, you said, I don't know. I can't help you. I wasn't there.
Yes.
You said, why are you
It
holding
wasn't me.
I didn't do nothing.
Who sings that song?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you said that over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't true. Right?
First statement of me saying, of me denying.
All those things, right? Those were all lies, right?
That wasn't true. The first statement. It wasn't true.
But you swore it was true. You said, it's true, let me go. I didn't do anything, right?
Yes, sir.
But you were lying.
Yes, sir.
Now, your testimony to this jury makes it sound like you didn't do anything wrong. Like, you were there, you were watching, but you didn't really participate. Because that's what you eventually convinced the police, right? That you were just there, but you didn't participate.
Objection.
You wanna come up?
See, yesterday now, the defense basically is asserting that Anjuan Carter, the one that testified at the end of yesterday, and this guy Ja'Cory Taylor, they're known criminals. They have conflicting statements. Jacory and Antoine, they had time to coordinate their stories and implicate Brice. The investigation had tunnel vision, gave these two guys
This is the
deals.
sort of thing I'm
Oops, I meant to mute.
This is the sort of thing I'm asking you about. You were talking about people being violated, right? That's the term you used.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you're using that term kind of to mean punished. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before that happened, was there a vote?
Yes, sir. It was. And that I remember. It was.
When you just testified to this jury, when the prosecutor was asking you what happened, that didn't come up.
No, sir, it didn't.
But now you're telling this jury that in fact there was a vote?
Yes, sir. It was.
They voted on whether the two brothers should live or die after telling their families about the first murder.
You were one of the people voting, right?
Nah, we didn't vote. He asked us. We said no. We didn't agree to it.
So your testimony under oath is that you said no.
Yes, sir.
What about your cousin? And
Huh? He said no as well.
What about the other folks who were there?
We didn't know them, so I don't really recall them even saying anything. I don't know if they said yeah or no. I don't remember that. I don't.
You don't. Your testimony is that you don't remember?
They could agree with it. They could not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember.
This is a vote that, according to you now, resulted in 2 deaths, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're telling us you don't remember the details?
7 years ago, man. I don't remember who actually said, let's do it, let's not do it. I don't know. It was 7 years ago.
But you want this jury to believe that you, in this vote, voted no.
Yeah. You said no.
It wasn't long after that before you were holding a knife, right?
I was past the knife.
You were holding a knife.
Yeah, I was past the knife. Yeah.
And you want it to be passed because you think that sounds better.
No, sir.
Because I'm not asking you how it ended up in your hand. I'm asking you, was a knife in your hand?
Yes, sir. A knife was in my hand.
Was it the same knife that you'd been threatened with?
Been threatened with?
Yes. By Maurice minutes earlier. It was the same knife that ended up in your hand.
Yes, sir. It was the same knife.
And you took that same knife, according to your testimony, and you stuck that knife, you stabbed with that knife into Maurice. Yes?
No. No.
You told us under oath minutes
I
ago
think
that you did.
It was Larry, the
Larry.
second one. Yeah.
You made me stab Larry, not Maurice.
Even
So,
Crime Spies got
your
that one
testimony
straight.
is that you did not stab both.
No, sir, I didn't.
No, he.
So that knife that you've been threatened with, you only stabbed one of your friends with.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because that was at the very end.
3 times?
I don't remember. Once or twice, as I told her.
The guy that testified yesterday said he did 3 times.
These details matter to you, right?
Yes, sir.
They're important, right?
Yes, sir.
And you want to make sure that the jury in this court don't know what really happened to Maurice and Larry. Isn't that true?
No, that's not true.
Well, when you spoke to the police, you felt very strongly you did not want them to know what happened, right?
Yes, sir.
As you told us earlier today, because you didn't want to get caught. It was the first thing I asked you. And
He was
you
like
talked-
17.
I know you may have talked with multiple
I
people.
think.
One of those people you talked to is in the courtroom, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you point at the officer in the courtroom who spoke to you?
God, where
Do you know his name?
Detective Tonelli?
That's correct. Do you remember if Detective Tonelli was there every time that police were speaking to you?
Yes, sir.
He was.
Yes, sir.
Was he running the room?
I don't remember. I just know he was there. He was present.
Okay.
Mhm.
He talked to you a lot, right? These weren't short conversations, right? And that's not a trick question. I mean, it's not like you didn't talk to each other for 5 minutes or something. You talked to each other for hours, right? Okay. One of these meetings is 126 pages, just one of them. Does that surprise you? That even just one of them is 126 pages long?
No, don't surprise me.
Okay. And the police told you that you were going to get charged with murder, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you didn't want to get charged with murder, right?
No, sir. I didn't.
So you lied to this man right here, right? Yes?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't lie once or twice or 3 times. You lied over and over and over, right? Yes?
No.
I think the jurors
Just
are
that
going to
day I
see
got
through
picked up.
this.
Yeah. I lied. The day I got picked up, yeah. I lied. I'm gonna get charged.
And you were hoping that if he believed your lies, they'd just let you go, right? That was your hope?
Yeah, but we wasn't. I knew I wasn't going nowhere.
But that was your hope, right?
Yes, sir.
He told you he wanted to help you. Remember that? He said it over and over.
I don't remember the conversation. I just remember him speaking to me. I don't remember the conversation.
He told you that you could get life in prison for murder. Do you remember that?
Like I said, I don't remember what he said. I just remember him speaking to me. I don't remember.
When he was telling you that he wanted to help you, he also told you part of your job would be to help yourself. Remember that?
No, I don't remember the conversation. I remember me speaking with him. I don't remember the conversation, everything, all the details that was spoken in the interview. I don't remember.
Well, he told you details about his own life. And I'm not going to ask about that. But you remember him, they got you food, right? Something to drink.
Well, yeah, that's what they normally do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give them heaters.
And you sat together. He wasn't yelling at you, right? He didn't yell at you. told you needed to help yourself. He wanted you to give him details of what had happened in both of those, all three of the murders. Right?
Yes, sir.
And he told you that you need to take care of you.
I think
Do
they
you
call
have
that
a
a CYA. sir.
Relative who ended up getting a lot of time on a robbery. Remember telling him about that? I mean, I said a lot of time.
Robbery? Not that I recall. No, sir, I don't remember that.
Remember him telling you some stories about different things that have happened to him when he's a police officer?
No, sir, I don't remember I don't remember him, the details in the interview. I just remember speaking with him. I don't remember.
At the end of the first interview, do you remember him getting a little bit frustrated? I don't mean yelling at you, but a little bit frustrated that you weren't answering the questions the way he wanted. Remember that?
No, sir, I don't.
Remember him cleaning up his papers and saying, it's going to be your last chance?
That part I do remember.
Okay. But it turned out it wasn't your last chance, right? Because he came back, right? Came and talked to you again. Right?
He could have. I don't know if he came back or not.
You remember that there was more than one time you met with the police, though, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When he was telling you things like that he could help you, that this was your last chance, you still didn't want to answer his questions.
No, sir, I didn't.
And you, in fact, didn't answer his questions truthfully, right?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay. But at a later time, you changed your mind.
Yes, sir.
You decided to start telling him some of the details about the murders.
Yes, sir.
Because you, in fact, got charged with 1, 2, 3 murders, right?
Yes, sir.
You
Maybe they're
didn't
going to go
want
over his
to start
plea
answering his
agreement because
questions.
he's not
But
in
you
custody
decided that it was the best way to get out of trouble.
anymore.
You can say that, but it was just the right thing to do at that time.
It wasn't the right thing to do when you were first talking to the police, right?
It's too scared to do it, man.
And you were so scared in this whole situation that you took Maurice's shoes.
Wasn't me. I don't recall that.
We've already talked about how those shoes, the Timberlands, were recovered at your girlfriend's cousin's house.
They was my Timbs. All black Timberlands. That was mine.
That you took off the body of your friend.
No, sir. I don't recall that.
Approach the witness. I'm holding in my hand the plea agreement that you signed and executed, okay?
Yes, sir.
Write this down.
I'm giving this to you. I'm going to ask you some questions about it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. First, you recognize that signature?
Yes, sir. It's me.
All right. Yeah, and that signature is on the plea agreement itself. about this signature right here.
Yes, sir, that's me.
Right. And that is on your motion to enter a guilty plea. Now, looking at this, looking at those charges, how many murder charges were you looking at? Right there.
I was looking at 3. 3 counts of complicity to the murder.
And a fourth count, what's that fourth count?
Tampering with physical evidence.
Do you remember what your plea is on this?
10 years, I believe 10 years, 20 if probated. Sorry, my sentence out.
Well, first, all 3 of those murder charges were reduced, right?
Yes, sir.
As part of this plea agreement, they were reduced from murder to what's called facilitation to murder, right?
Yes, sir.
And instead of looking at a life sentence on count 1 of murder, what were you looking at on just that count? Do you remember?
What account? Can you refer to it? The one murder charge?
The first murder count.
It's no murder's 25 to life.
And because of your plea agreement, that charge got reduced to facilitation. And then what we look at instead of life in prison. I can bring this back to you.
When it got reduced, reduced, I was looking at 1 to 5 for each count.
Correct. Instead of looking at life, you were now looking at 5 years, right?
For each count.
On the first count. On the second count, same thing, right?
Yes, sir.
And on the third murder, same thing. On the tampering with physical evidence, same thing.
Yes, sir.
It says on this recommendation, the Commonwealth recommends a sentence of 5 years on each count. 3 counts of facilitation of murder, 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. The Commonwealth recommends a total sentence of 10 years if to serve, or 20 years if probated.
Yes, sir.
When you decided to enter that plea,
It hasn't
to
been
cut the
10
deal.
years. How'd he get out already?
that was your understanding of the deal, right?
Yes, sir.
Instead of looking at life, you now would be looking at either 10 years in prison or 20 years over your head if you got probated.
Yes, sir.
It says further that the Commonwealth, that's the prosecution, objects to probation.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Right?
Yes, sir.
But it had another condition in there. It says the defendant agrees to testify truthfully in any and all proceedings of these events.
Yes, sir.
That was a condition.
Yes, sir.
And that's why you're here today.
Mm-hmm.
And it says,
Well, no wonder he got so
should the
chatty.
defendant fail to testify truthfully as determined by the court, right,
Yes, sir.
then the Commonwealth reserves the right to withdraw from the plea and proceed against him, you,
Mm-hmm.
with the original charges.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand
Remember
what that
he
means?
had that
Yes, sir.
talk to in the hallway?
That the Commonwealth, at the end of your testimony, could ask the court for a hearing and argue that you haven't been truthful, argue that they're not satisfied. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And if they won that hearing, then you'd be looking at life in prison again.
Yes, sir.
And you don't want that to happen, do you?
I've been to prison. I don't want to go back. Of course, I don't want to go to prison.
You, in fact, served about 6 years on this. Is that right?
Roughly 6 years. Almost 6 years. Yes, sir.
You got out on the 1st of September 2021. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's not even, that's what, 5 years?
You weren't happy to answer any questions from the police officer truthfully, right?
I didn't answer truthfully. No, sir.
But in order to keep from a life sentence, you did, right?
Yes, sir.
You didn't want to come here today and testify, right?
No, sir.
But in order to keep this plea agreement intact, you did.
Yes, sir.
Well, I
Thank
think
you.
it's
I
pretty
don't have any
clear
further
when he
questions.
got there,
Judge,
he
you
didn't
will
want
move
to
to
say
introduce defense
anything.
exhibit number
Because if
2.
he's loose on the streets,
All right, so
now
ignore
he's
and
gonna be known as Mr. Snitch. And we all know what happens with snitches. I don't think these days they get stitches. They get
Mr. Taylor,
dirt.
jumping back to the beginning of the defense cross, he asked about the gun from the Christopher Jones murder. What happened to that gun?
I know he wouldn't. Got rid of the gun. I wanted it
But
back.
they can't split screen on
Of course,
him
it was my gun from the begin with.
and the
for my protection.
witness.
I wanted the gun back. He wouldn't give it to me, so he did whatever he did with the gun.
And when you
Snitches
say
get
he,
itches.
to whom are you referring?
No, I
Bryce.
think they get dirt.
And by Brice, do you mean the
They
defendant in
get
the courtroom?
they
Yes,
get a
ma'am.
trip 6 foot under.
Can you,
That's why I'd be curious to see
the
his.
conversation that occurred, it
Mr.
was,
Rambo
characterized
here.
as a vote. Walk us through that, because, what
Like
do
a
you mean?
split screen
What
of
happened in
him
that
and the
conversation?
The witnesses.
When he said something about the
Face.
vote, I do remember it was a sort of debate on what should happen. And I just remember we didn't really agree to it. We didn't want to do it.
This guy better get
Like,
into witness protection
Was
if he
this
wants to
a
stay out
vote
of
where you all
prison.
wrote down yes or no on
stay
a
out
piece of
of the
paper and he added them up?
Underground.
We just talking. We were just speaking to us about it happening.
Where did this occur?
In the living room, in wherever inside the apartment. I don't know, somewhere in the living room, hallway. I don't really remember, man.
At that point, was Maurice tied up?
I don't really remember at that point. I just remember it was a vote. We didn't agree to it.
Was it within earshot of Maurice? Like, do you think he could hear you all talking about it?
Possibly. We was out. It's not a big apartment, so and it was five.
I
of
thought it
us,
was
six
right
of
in
us
front of their
there, so it wasn't,
faces.
you know, we could hear.
Do you remember where in the time frame that occurred?
No, ma'am.
Was it before he got stabbed?
Could have been. Yeah, before. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. It was
because that's
before.
why they started stabbing him.
Yeah,
Because
Do you remember? I know you said the knife was not a kitchen knife. What do you mean of like? How would you describe a kitchen knife?
Kitchen knife that you just cut things on, like cut something with, like. But this is a personal knife.
Okay.
A personal knife that you carry around with you.
Would you have it in your pocket or?
A pocket knife. Yes, ma'am.
How old are you now?
I'm 25,
And how old were you in 2016?
17. I think.
17, ready to be 18.
Do you? What was your birthday?
June 20th.
He's Gemini.
Did you turn 18 while this was when
I shouldn't say anything.
prosecution first started on this case?
Yes, ma'am.
So at that time, did you move from a juvenile holding facility to adult jail?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd
When
be
you were
curious to see
talking
what
to the
his
detective
criminal
tonight,
record has been since he got out a couple years ago.
2016, at age 17, did you have any family you could ask for advice?
I'm sorry, repeat the question again.
Did you have any family you could ask for advice?
About the situation.
Yeah.
I didn't have no family to really go to. I was out here,
Did he say his dad died in prison or something?
The 22nd and the 25th, did you talk to anybody about this case? Like between when it happened and when you got picked up by police?
I don't really remember. I might have, but I don't really remember who I talked to.
Who would you have talked to?
Anybody was a friend or ex-girlfriend, something like that. I don't really remember.
Friend or girlfriend? Did you, you said your father had been killed?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to your mom and ask her for advice?
Our relationship was kind of rocky at the time, so probably not.
Did you have any older siblings?
I'm the oldest on both sides.
So that night, where you talked to Detective Tonelli for, I believe it was 126 pages. I've got that correct. I mean, it was several hours, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you told him, to summarize, that you didn't know what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you say that?
I'm just scared. I didn't know what to say in the situation.
And just to clear up the thing with the Timberlands,
Mm-hmm.
so did you all kind of share clothes? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we all did pretty much.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Who had the Timberlands on when that night started?
I believe I did, as I remember.
But they had started out as Maurice's shoes?
We was trading shoes. I used to wear his shoes. He wore my shoes, time to time, stuff like that.
Okay.
But I had them on.
Then why did you leave them at Monisha's?
I remember that they had from all the blood and stuff on the crime scene. At the scene, my boots had a spot of blood on them, so I put it in Monisha's closet, and they was found there.
Sir, hydrogen peroxide and iron will get
After
the
you
blood
talked
stains
to
out
Detective
without
Tonelli
damaging
that first time on May
the
25th,
fabric.
Yes, ma'am.
at the end of that, were you arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then did court proceedings start?
I was a juvenile, and I went to court, and then I turned 18, and I came to the jail.
And did you come to court from time to time?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
At that point, did you get a lawyer?
Public defender.
Okay.
I didn't get a lawyer, personal attorney.
And then in 2017, you gave the second statement, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And those were the only two times that you sat down and gave a statement to Detective Tonelli.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Or any police, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you give the second statement?
Just to come forth, to be honest.
Okay.
I felt.
And also, I mean, I'm not trying to skew what you're saying. You wanted the deal that you got, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it's better than going down for murder.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But did the promise of this great deal cause you to tell a bunch of lies to Detective Tonelli and the jury?
Sorry, say it again.
Did the promise of this deal cause you to tell a bunch of lies to Detective Tonelli at the second statement in 17 or to this jury today?
No, ma'am.
And the plea agreement was that the charges of murder would be amended to facilitation of murder, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your understanding of facilitation?
Yes. So what's my understanding?
Yeah, what does that mean to you?
He was pretty much there. He was there when it happened, but you didn't do nothing about it. You didn't call the police or try to, they say stop the situation. So
Okay.
I see you was there. You facilitated by being there, present when it happened.
Like helping it along to some extent?
Yes, ma'am.
Buy this way up. Thank you
And is
so
that
much
how you
for your support.
feel about your role in this now?
Have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
beautiful, blessed
I mean,
day.
what do you feel?
Right now, I just
Thank you.
looking back, we was just kids. We was just young. We didn't really, you know what I'm saying? I know me, I wasn't even thinking about stuff like that. I was too busy worrying about where I was gonna sleep at and being home and stuff like that. I didn't have a mentality. I didn't have a mentality of all that. I was just, I was just present when it happened. We never knew this was going to, happen. We never knew. It was talked about, but we didn't believe it. At the time, it was partying and stuff. We don't believe this stuff, man.
They do say their brains don't stop developing until they're
I
25.
don't have any further questions.
Mr. Griffiths?
I mean, it's been a long ass time since I was 17 years old.
Mr.
But-
Taylor, you're free to go.
I would think I would probably, in my 17-year-old brain want to
Counselor, roll
lie.
to approach.
Okay, Bye, Broken Baker. See you tomorrow. Thank you also for your support. I appreciate you. Oh, I was going to mention, there's a really great interview from like 3 months ago. Mr. Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, who I love so much. On the Rumble side, we've got a little emoji guy of Mr. Pitbull. But he was interviewed this summer. He was interviewed this summer on Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was down in, I think, Miami doing like a summer something or other. It's on YouTube. And Mr. Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, if you will. It was a fantastic interview.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and break for the evening, but I want to give you
we're done for the day.
a little bit of information.
Mr. Pitbull has schools in like, well, I'll talk when she's finished.
Before you go, please recall the earlier order. You are not to do any
just
research on this case or post information about this case anywhere. If you accidentally encounter information about the case from any source, it is your duty to bring it immediately to the attention.
Yeah, so if you want,
do not use any internet search engines, websites,
copious
blog,
free
or any
time
other electronic tools to conduct any research about this case or to help you
check out Mr. Pitbull on Mr. Kevin Hart's
online
show,
or elsewhere,
or just type in Kevin Hart Pitbull interview. It's fantastic.
Now, tomorrow I'm going to have you all come in at 9:15, but tomorrow we're not going to have lunch. We're just going to stop at 1. Maybe even a little bit before 1.
Oh, yay. So Friday we're going to
stop
going
into the week before the holidays, and you all have been going long days every day. So I think everyone.
So tomorrow's just going to be a morning session.
The other
I'll do
good
it
news
like in
is
real
that
time
it
too.
looks even more likely than it previously was that this will not go beyond next week. So that is good, and that is in part because we have all been able to be willing to sit here and go through the day and listen diligently, and so that's very much appreciated. And we will see you tomorrow outside the doors at 9:15.
Okay, good. There you have it. Day 3 of this piece of shit's trial.
Don't forget your phones. Sure. It's okay.
Yeah, so Mr. 305, he's got schools. I forget now how many there is. All over the country. And his schools are... in like really poor neighborhoods where there's a lot of broken homes, etc. And the statistics are absolutely wonderful. So if you have a chance, it's a very heartwarming interview. I know I love Mr. Pitbull, but most people probably just think he's, the guy with the sunglasses who, has all the dancing girls around him. But he is something else. He also, it's kind of funny, one of his friends, when his friends die, he says he'll talk about them and he'll say, may they rest in paradise instead of rest in peace. But he's got there's a really brief part where he tells a story of his friend that, when times get troubled or you don't know what to do, his friend used to say, fuck it. So he has tattooed on his wrist, fuck it. I think that's funny. So every time I don't know really what to do, I just say, fuck it. It's really funny. Go watch it. All right. So that concludes day 3 of the Brice Rhodes trial on our journey, on our road to 500 subscribers. I appreciate all of you so very, very much. And we will... I'll set up the live streams. Like she said, it's going to be tomorrow. Morning session only. I think she said 9:15. So for me, that'll be 8:15 a.m. I'll probably do it at 8:30 just in case there's some kind of delay. And it'll just be a morning session. So with that, thank you again, Broken Baker, This Way Up, Jamie, for chatting and keeping me company today. I appreciate you. And, anytime you want to talk about that Karen Reed thing, I kind of followed it for a while and I waffle between the conspiracy theory aspect of it and, the fact that, maybe she really was just super ass drunk and did it. I kind of waffled back and forth, and then I just kind of dropped it. But I'd be happy to converse with you all on that or any other one. What else do I have on here? Oh, and dumpster fire, copious free time. If you want to look up Steven Crowder's dumpster fire on YouTube, it's like a 1 minute 40-second. He was poking fun at a guy from Minnesota, Democrat, trying to 2018 running for, I think it was like the Minnesota Senate, and he had like some kind of, I don't know, like stroke, so like half of his face doesn't work, and his actual commercial, this Richard Painter, was a dumpster fire, but then Steven Crowder made fun of it. And then he's like, "You're in the land of Minnesota. We've got 1 million lakes." And the guy, like the fake director, is like, 10,000 lakes. We got a lot of lakes here in Minnesota. It's really funny. And Richard Painter really did have dumpster fire in the back. It's really good. And then also pertaining to dumpsters, my Monday night live stream, it's like an hour. I don't remember what it's called, but kind of going over, some of those cult documentaries. We played like the trailers and kind of talked about it. The Sunday one coming up is the Love Has Won, the Mother God. It's called Crochet and Crime. It's kind of got a pinkish and purple thumbnail. That was so good. But the other one I watched that I talked about a little tiny bit was The Garden, Commune or Cult. That's the one that the beauty influencer goes to take a shower outside and says, "I only have 7 nails left and all of my eyelashes have fallen off." Well, actually, they had to go dumpster diving for food. And they hopped in the back of a pickup truck in one episode, going to look for roadkill for food. I'm telling you, I might have to live stream that one too. I wouldn't mind. So for sure, Sunday afternoon, I have Love Has Won. It's called Crochet and Crime. Love Has Won. We're going to watch that. It's excellent. Again, it's going to start on YouTube, and then it's going to segue over to Kick or Rumble. Rumble, you do have to be you do have to have an account on Rumble to watch or to participate in the chat. And then like it takes 12 hours or something stupid. So for those of you on YouTube that don't have a Rumble account, on Sunday, we'll probably just send you over to Kick. Kick is actually easier because it's just like kick.com/Crime Spies. And like, that's it. It never changes. Even when I live stream there, I don't have to like change the RTMP or nothing. It's awesome. So maybe I can convince Baker to do a stream. You can see. Yeah, I would love to. Just let me know. I'm usually just sitting here either working or, like I said, this week I had my road to 500 subscribers. So I'm just like, repetitively figuring out what am I going to live stream. Because at this point, I'm not really a quitter. So I'm just trying. Yeah. So I think that is all for now. My short Christmas outro, I forgot to put the Christmas music on it. And I will put together day 3 summary and add it to that PDF I have. And then I will pin it on my X profile, which is not at Crime Spies. It's at Shan Wapao, which is my personal account. Because my other account, got permanently banned in the mass YouTube/Twitter 2020 slaughter. So anyway. Alrighty. So we will see you all very soon. It's so nice to have some people to chat with for these trials. Been with a lot of streamers. They start very small and to one if they had to, and now they are Oh, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Rumble is always way better for me. Even like I said, with the true crime, it's mostly the politics over there. It's just that people don't really chat, especially with the true crime. Very seldom. They're watching, they're just not chatting. But then again, when I had Chrissy sign up for Rumble because we were doing a documentary over there, that's the problem with YouTube. It doesn't let you just be free to do whatever you want. And I've already been thrown in jail a few times. I don't dare get thrown in jail now that I'm over 200 subscribers. But she said it took 12 hours. She couldn't chat until it was 12 hours. So I don't know. I don't know. I try. Yeah, so let me know for sure. I think I like more of the serious trial crowd because they logically think when watching these trials. Same. Okay, so again, with me, I'm not afraid to speak my opinion. In fact, it kind of gets me in trouble sometimes. But I think, okay, so in the politics world, I've been chewed up and spit out for years, and I can handle it. I have thick skin. But the true crime community, honest to God, yeah, everyone is guilty. You can change their mind sometimes. And it's very hive mind mentality. It's where did in my opinion, you should think critically about it. In my opinion, like I said earlier with Tim Bleefnick, now granted, it is possible that he did it, but also the state, the evidence, the charges that the state had in comparison to the evidence produced during trial did not convince me that he alone planned and executed his estranged wife, Rebecca Bleefnick. In fact, yeah. Well, and even our founding fathers had said it's better to let a guilty man free than put a non-guilty man in prison. Something along those lines. It's, better to be safe than sorry. Nowadays, it's hive mind, number one, social media, number two. So there's a fine line. I've actually asked Steve Gosney and some of the other people, attorneys, to, is that at a point where we need to, where's the fine line between the public's right to know and the defendant getting a fair trial? And it's true. I think these juries come back after, a few hours. And, if we're sitting here thinking, oh, there's reasonable doubt. I mean, and even some states have where if two scenarios are plausible and both could, you're supposed to pick the one of the two options that favors the defendant, not the other way around. It's just, I've said this on several trials. In my opinion, God help any of us that are accused of a crime if this is the way we're going. And make sure to check out thefallofminneapolis.com. That's that documentary by my friend Bob's wife Liz and JC about the Derek Chauvin trial and the half of our city of Minneapolis burned to the ground. A couple weeks ago, I did a live stream that ended up being a couple hours, and it was Liz and the director JC, I always forget what his last name is, on the Megyn Kelly show. And I didn't live stream the documentary because it was like brand new. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. They crowdsourced it. I don't even recall them collecting any of like my, name or email address or anything. And so it just goes to show you that the narrative that you were fed in that instance, Liz Collins wrote a book, and this is a movie based on the book. And my ex-boyfriend is in it, Al Williams. So, I know he's telling the truth. We have to be on the defendant's side every time, and if the state doesn't prove the case, they're not guilty. Exactly. Or like I'm gonna say it, with Murdaugh. With Murdaugh, they put the charges were first degree premeditated murder alone. I don't think the state proved that he alone committed both of those murders with two different firearms all by himself. There was a documentary I watched not too long ago. No, like I said, the charges were first degree, premeditated, etc. Now, if they would have said that the time frame didn't make sense. Well, so many things didn't make sense. But there was just a documentary I watched very recently, and it had probably the best explanation of Paul's murder and how because you know how the shots were really weird? Like he was shot first in the chest and then he was shot in the head at like a weird angle. Well, there was like a step going into the feed room, and it also, there was a road right behind the feed room. There was a road, and I think in my opinion, I think it was some vigilante justice. They waited until Alex, got done with Bubba the dog and went back to the house. Maggie was just collateral damage, in my opinion. And some vigilante justice with a wingman waited for Alex to head back to the house. And Paul went into the feed room. They shot him, and the wingman went after Maggie. But they did like a diagram, or like how they use like, animation. But the way that the shots, because Paul was shot in the chest, and the way that they had it was the guy shoots him in the chest and he beats feet out of there. I think that was even before they even noticed that Maggie was there, in my opinion. But Paul was shot in the chest, and the guy takes off, but Paul actually walks a couple steps, and the guy, as he's like running away, notices that Paul is walking, and then kind of from around the corner turns around and shoots him. Yeah, the road was like, remember, and the jurors took the bus, and they asked to go to the road, to the roadside on the other side of the road where you could see into the feed room, like when they were all done walking the property. That's my opinion. But he was convicted. Well, and the thing is I just covered his thing a couple weeks ago where he spoke for over an hour. I don't know, call me crazy, but I believed him. He's going to go to prison for the rest of his life for the financial stuff. He even said in that thing, as soon as they, said what they were going to charge me with, I didn't even try to negotiate. I mean, he's accepted his fate of being in prison forever. But I don't see that part. Now, the whole thing with him and Cousin Eddie and the roadside thing, I believe that. I believe he did hire Cousin Eddie because he was number one distraught that Maggie and Paul were dead, and he knew he was going down for the financial stuff, and so that I believe I believe that. So false police report and all that. He was a crap human for stealing, but don't. Yeah, I'm 100% exactly with you, Jamie. And I think he was, now that he's been sober, because what did he say? Sober for 500 or some days now? No, longer than that. 800 and some days. I guess it doesn't matter, but I think someone with that bad of a drug addiction, I don't think they know what they're doing. That's my opinion. But goes back to the same theory. When the charges are brought against a defendant and the defendant goes on trial, it's up to the state to prove that they're guilty, not for them to prove that they're innocent. And shit people, just because they're a shit human being doesn't mean that they should go to prison for something they didn't do. It's just, and like you said earlier with some of the people in the true crime community, it's totally true that it's a hive mind and you get your freaking head beat off or banished or muted if you go against the grain. Well, we've been living that in the politics world forever. So also, I believe he wasn't alone in the stealing. I believe the firm was in on it too. Then threw him under the bus. If that's that, we should get together and just talk about that. Actually, okay, so Jamie, in my real life, I'm an accountant / finance manager / data analyst. And remember that lady, that the accountant, the office manager, accountant person, the whole entire trial, when she was testifying and she was talking about the money in and the money out and he'd have checks and stuff. I'm sorry, but I've worked for predominantly S corps, which are small companies, smaller, I should say. Usually there's one owner, typically $20 million in revenue and less annually, roughly. I've worked for Best Buy and, Pillsbury and all those big companies too, but for the small companies. So I'm assuming that law firm was probably an S corp or a C corp. But the way that the financials were at the end of the year they get, their bonuses. With an S corp, that's what happens. You just go down to zero. Whatever's left gets divvied up amongst the, owners in their respective agreed upon percentages. And then, whatever. Now a C corp is different. They take the profits after bonuses, etc., and then they reinvest that. So they start the year. Anyway, but that lady that was the accounting person, there's no way. There's no way. Especially the fact that nowadays everything is done by EFT. Usually. Checks are still written. But I just thought, for what they were talking about, and if he wanted to have a draw on his bonus, meaning, he wanted them to float him some money and take it out of his, that happens all the time. It's called a draw. I had an opinion about the boy box trial. I sure wished me the worst for having a different opinion. They treat me like an a-hole. The boy in the box trial, I watched a little bit of that with Mo and I forget who, if Sal was doing that one. And other than that, I like smaller channels with smaller chat rooms that I feel, that don't bite your head off. If it's thousands and thousands of people, then nobody ever interacts with you because the chat goes by too fast, or you're ignored. Or if you're not a subscriber, it doesn't even go up on the thing. But the boy in the box trial, I kind of had the same, I think I must have done like some summaries of that or something, because I talked about that one a lot. And, the kid, he tried to drown his siblings. He accidentally gave the child alcohol, tried to drown, like hold their head underwater, drown them. And I think the parents, they didn't want to quit. I mean, he was adopted. They didn't want to give him back. So like they were literally on their like last, I have 4 kids. I have triplets and an older son. And, he was adopted. It sounds like he had, a whole host of weird things going on with him. And it sounded to me like, they were trying to avoid having their whole family annihilated by this kid who was clearly, in my opinion, unstable. So that was my thing on it. And poof, he's found guilty. Because again, the hive mind crowd gets together and doesn't say, okay, well, put yourself in their position. They probably wanted to do everything they could not to give him back and say, okay, we just quit with this, while trying to save their own family. That's, at least that, I didn't watch the whole thing, but that's what I got out of it. I went to Law and Crime and just said I think it's an overcharge and they wanted to set me on fire. Oh no. I absolutely believe they didn't mean any harm, but they were on their last, like, yeah, that's exactly. Jamie, you and I must be sisters. You got to meet Chrissy now. Chrissy is my sister from another mister. I met her during the, I think it was Gwyneth Paltrow trial. I wasn't live streaming then, but I was helping another person's channel grow. And she has lots of stories about Motley Crue. She's partied with the band. I think state overcharges people too, and it's a big problem. Yeah. Well, that's like Bleefnick. I don't know if you followed that one. That was the Family Feud guy. What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? I'm sorry, honey, but said I do. Everybody laughs. Steve looks at him weird. Well, he's just trying to win. It was like the second most popular answer on the board for Family Feud. Isn't that the thing? And then poof, 3 years later, she ends up being dead while they were estranged. Nowhere in the trial did they, I'm not even sure if the boyfriend at the time testified. He must have. I didn't, but I knew about it. Yeah. It was super short. But recently they had a 48 hours and a Dateline, or 48 hours in 2020, or Dateline in 2020, like right off, like bing, bing, right in a row. And one of which I live streamed. I must have started it on YouTube and then we switched over to Rumble and Kick. It's got like a pink, it's got my Crime Spies head, but the background instead of black and yellow is pink and black. And the title is called like, Did Tim Bleefnick Get a Fair Trial? And Chrissy co-hosted that one with me. Now, right after that, actually between the three, between 48 Hours, 2020, and Dateline, it seems like recently they've been covering a lot of the same ones. But the Bleefnick thing came up because he's appealing his conviction. I think they got it wrong. They've got a guy on a bike. I mean, it's possible he did, but it's also possible that the burglar caught on film did. And the attorney, Casey Schnack was her name. She's not a very likable person, but she's right. She's right. They have a guy on a bike. They never proved it was him. I don't know. It's crazy. And like his internet searches and stuff. Well, did you ever watch the Zachariah Andrew? It's the first one I watched. Absolutely floored me, and Jerry got it wrong. Okay, so I watched Might have to go back and watch that one. Well, I could do that one again. But yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, watch the one with me and Chrissy. I don't think we talked too much, but that was really good because that one is the first time I've ever seen him interviewed. He was interviewed and they asked him, "Did you kill your, estranged wife Becky? Did you plan this?" It was really good. But Zachariah Anderson, I think that was happening. I think that was happening like the same time I was doing Letitia Stoke, the Tim trial. I'm like, oh yeah, go back and watch that. The Tim trial. I covered that one. If I were you, I would watch that. I always forget if it's 2020 or Dateline or 48 Hours. It's one of those ones. But it was a very short trial. And I think they got it wrong. But anyway, so Zachariah Anderson, I think that trial was happening at the same time Letitia Stoke was. But I remember catching just like the very, very, and I think that's in Wisconsin too. I'm telling you, my neighbors to the east, there's so many weird things that happen in Wisconsin. Well, there's horrible things that happen here. Hello, Derek Chauvin and all that stuff. But Zachariah Anderson trial, I caught like just a little tiny bit of it. And then like the verdict. And from what I had heard, because they never did find a body, I probably shouldn't say too much because I didn't watch it, but it seemed to me like that was kind of another thing where the mom was kind of suspicious to me. Like, did they really investigate her and make sure that, she didn't have anything to do with it? They had no evidence, no body, no nothing on this guy, and he was convicted for life. Yeah, isn't that something else? The girlfriend was... Okay, see, Jamie, you, me, must be sisters. Yeah, that's exactly what I had gathered. I think from now on we just watch trials together. I'm only doing this one because, like I said yesterday, I wanted to watch it, and it just didn't seem like any of the usual suspects, the usual live streamers, were doing it. So that's why I'm doing this one. Plus, the road to 500 subscribers. They never looked into anyone else. Yeah, that's the same thing with Bleefnick. Like, in my opinion, did they... Every time they would ask, I think, every time that they would ask, like, did you look at this? Did you look into the boyfriend search engine? No, we didn't check that out. I think that was the trial where when the defense had asked if they did this or this or this or that. Nope, we didn't. Nope, we didn't. Nope, we didn't. It's like tunnel vision. He must have done it. And case closed. Huh. Terrible, terrible. Like I said, heaven help all of us if this is the way our judicial system is going. Now, on the opposite side of this is Megan Immerwitz. She was the girl that was on trial for a few days this summer, convicted of the murder of her father. He was drunk, naked, on the couch. She had just turned 18. She was having a party. She wanted to go get her hair colored, and he was drunk, naked on the couch. So she just turned 18. I think it was like the day after her 18th birthday. She had a hair appointment because they had rented a hotel room for, to party. And she was mad and threw a temper tantrum and started chucking stuff. They must have had like, like my house here. It's open from the kitchen to the dining room to the living room. It's like kind of like an open space sort of area. I mean, I don't know, maybe most houses are like that now. But so she started chucking stuff. She was in the kitchen. He's drunk naked on the couch and started chucking stuff on him in disgust, having a temper tantrum. She ends up catching a ride. I think she was the one that called the neighbor to check on her dad because he was drunk, passed out on the couch or whatever. And she'd thrown lye on him that was from some, half exploded can of drain cleaner underneath the kitchen counter. And lye, when mixed with water, has a thermogenic reaction, which gave him burns on his legs. So the neighbor went next door to check on him. He must have been passed out, but she could see that like his skin was like melted. Called the police. The brother shows up. The police show up. Then they go to find her. The dash cam video, I think it was the dash cam video, caught her interview. She's partying with her friends. The police go and talk to her and ask, okay, so you heard the story. Oh, MLS interviewed Megan Imerwitz. Yeah, so that's where I was getting it with. So the jury convicted. Oh my God, when I did that trial, when the verdict came in, for like an hour after the verdict came in on the last day of the trial, I ranted for like an hour. We rewatched the interaction between the brother and the prosecuting attorney and the police officer there. He never said anything to her attorney, nothing. The mother testified that, he's estranged now from the family. And then I covered the when she was her sentencing hearing, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the judge, even though she was convicted by the jury, the judge basically sentenced her to time served, and she has certain milestones. She's got to get her, GED. She read this big long statement beforehand. Oh my God. Yeah, that judge was unbelievable. So we're talking about like all the wrongs in the judicial system, but in my opinion, that was when the jury got it wrong, but the judge righted that wrong. That was another case of overcharges. And the brother was totally suspicious. How do we not know? And the dad he didn't deserve to have his legs amputated and subsequently die a few months later from his injuries. But she's 18 years old. How many 18-year-olds know that lye mixed with water has a thermogenic reaction that can burn your skin off? Number one. Number two, I'm Norwegian. Our lutefisk is soaked in lye. Lye is a preservative for lutefisk. And grandma, how do you get the friggin' lye out of the lutefisk so you can bake it so it has that snot-like gelatinous texture, other than you've got to soak the lye out of it. Yeah. But most people don't know that happens, that if you mix it with water, it is on drain cleaner, but they even had the evidence bottle, the bottle of drain cleaner with the lye in it. And the whole outside, you've had probably a bottle underneath the kitchen sink that's exploded because it's, wasn't sealed properly and the temperature got too hot or whatever. Hearing her, I don't believe, yeah. And she even, when the officers were asking her, do you remember throwing like a powder on your dad? She's like, I don't know, I just grabbed stuff and started throwing. Yeah, I think there was like some kind of powder thing. She wasn't being deceitful. She was 18 years old. Holy crime and ninny. I'll have to go look at that MLS thing interviewing that Megan Emerowitz. Oh my God, that was so. I wish I would have known you guys back then. I would have done that one with you. That trial was really good. It was super short, but copious free time if you ever want to look at the Megan Emerowitz Crime Spies the day that the verdict was read, and my rant for an hour afterwards. I was steaming. And then we just kept watching the brother over and over again, and how he was like smirking and, oh, a piece of shit to that guy. Oh, and I was also going to say too, the dad had like congestive heart failure and was a raging alcoholic. Hello. Perhaps maybe the fact that his blood circulation was impaired could have led to the fact that his burn injuries didn't heal properly. I don't know. It's terrible. I'm going to look that up. What time is it? See, it's early. Yeah, I'm going to go check on everybody. Last night, I was up so late with this. By the time we got done, and I went downstairs, there were so many dishes they were making. I don't know what they were cooking. I mean, it is lovely they all have jobs now and cook, but they left me quite the pile of dishes. Stream chats all the time. Not sure if you've seen this. Oh, yay. Thank you. Well, Baker, I found him just the other day because MLS, I tuned into one of MLS's. Well, you were on there, Jamie. You and MLS. I forget which one it was now. And he had to go, and he said, I'm going to dump you off with Broken Baker. I'm like, you're dumping me? And then I had to get ready for my live stream. Maybe that was on Monday because I was going to do the Crime Spies Road to 500. We haven't had a trial to stream, but we might be doing something tomorrow. Oh, you should do this one. You should do this one. Why don't you guys host this one? Day 4. If you want. I don't own the crime. That's what I also said to, there's a couple people that I really love. Steve from Publicly Buzzed is one. He seems so fair. And there was an issue with someone that's like a regular, well, I shouldn't really say too much, but sentencing tomorrow. Is it tomorrow afternoon? Because this trial is only going to be tomorrow morning. Well, we'll chat. We'll chat. But I remember saying something like, you know, when your channel gets large, remember there was a time when your channel was very small, and the people like Steve from Publicly Buzzed, he always says hello and like puts my comment up on the screen. I don't know how to do that within OBS. Courtney Clenny is supposed to have. Oh, Courtney Clenny, I want to see that one. Okay. Well, we'll have to collaborate. I'll have to watch that on your channel. And also in the description box underneath, I did it for a while. I haven't done it for quite a while, but I used to put kind of on the same thing with like, you know, how Steve always like puts my comments up, or like Gazella, she'll put my comments up. And I used to put in the description box underneath, because there's so much crime happening. Like I have a Google search thing that is like man charged with murder, woman charged with murder, or missing girl, or missing woman found, or whatever. And there's so much crime happening all the time that one person can't keep it up. Or, you know, so I used to put in the description box, like I'm covering, you know, this trial. But if you want to watch the Courtney Clenny thing, go to this channel. Or if you want a really good recap on, you know, the Ruby Frankie, whatever. Or the What's that Delphi one? Richard Allen. 1,000 people are doing Richard Allen. Why? I mean, there's so many really good people that are kind. There's plenty of crime to go around. Hannah Payne is getting sentenced tomorrow. We watched, oh, I don't know that one either. Hannah Payne. So for those of you who are watching on Rumble, oh shoot, I don't have the chat up. Hannah Payne, she's being sentenced tomorrow. So make sure to go over to, what did you say? Broken Baker is going to be doing that one. And then there's going to be a Courtney Clenny hearing. So for those of you on Rumble, I can edit after we're finished here. I can edit the description box underneath and point you to those links. Honest to God, Jamie, I used to do it all the time. And then I just kind of quit doing it. So, Clenny, not sure if we will be doing it. But they did say she's supposed to have a hearing. So heads up to you. Thank you so much. See? And, you know, another thing is Salvador's Mark Jensen stuff. I told him in his chat he needs to get one of those, like, actually one of my daughters was Hugh Hefner for Halloween. She had a smoking jacket and like a pipe. But Sal does so good with his dramatic readings that I think he should channel his inner Hugh Hefner and get like a wingback chair, or get like a background of a fake wingback chair in a fireplace, and then have, what do they call those? Ascots, the little thing. Oh no, chat restream. Server could not be found. I might have lost you. Oh no. All right. Well, I got an error. All right. Well, Crime Spies, it's been so nice. Remember tomorrow, Brice Rhodes trial, it'll be day 4. It's only going to be in the morning. So I'm going to start it around 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And it will conclude around noon Central Standard Time tomorrow. Alrighty. And I don't have any music on my Christmas out, but I do appreciate all of you. And we will see you tomorrow.